Okay, so my name is McKenzie Williams. I attend Lincoln University in Jefferson City, and my project was over the great tree frogs response to aerial spray in the microhabitat. Bush honeysuckle is an invasive plant species that originated in Asia. It is outcompeting native flora, and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources found aerial spraying to be an effective way to decrease the amount of herbicides in highly infested areas using glyphosate. Aerial spraying is effective because it is useful because it quickly spreads herbicides over large areas. It's cost effective and is usually done with an airplane or crop duster. Aerial spraying is about $50 per acre, and backpack spraying can be about $200 to $800 per acre. At our treated sites, a helicopter was used, and it was last sprayed in the fall of 2020. If the timing is wrong, it can cause harm to unattended plants. The image on the left is a photo of a crop duster that is used for aerial spraying, but the plant in the photo is not honeysuckle. One of the big concerns about aerial spraying is it is distributing large amounts of chemicals while there's wildlife out there like the great tree frog. The great tree frog is a nocturnal amphibian that lives in wooded areas and is usually inside of tree holes, in the leaf litter, and in rotten logs. They commonly feed on insects and larvae. They live for about 7 to 9 years, and they are often located near water sources, and there's also where breeding takes place. Breeding season starts in April and lasts till August, resulting in about 1,000 to 2,000 eggs released into the water. They can change colors to blend into their environment, as you can see in the picture on the left. You may be wondering why this research is being done. Well, there's limited research done on the effects of aerial spraying to sensitive species like the great tree frog, and we were studying to see if there were any potential management recommendations that could be made, because tree frogs could potentially be in the trees during the non-breeding season. So this study needs to be done to learn if aerial spraying is harmful to the frogs or is beneficial to their habitat. Our objectives were to determine the overall effect of aerial spraying on great tree frogs and honeysuckle, and to determine the microhabitat characteristics associated with management and tree frog presence. The results will be dealing with the DBH, the tree species, and the amount of honeysuckle present. For our metrics, we chose 2 sites. One was Pere Marquette State Park in Jersey County and a private property in Greene County. At each site, there were 6 transects, 3 control transects, and 3 treated transects. And the pipe once a month from the months of May to October, and we had the chance to check June and July. And these sites were the same one used in Jacob's project. And we also collected vegetation data at these sites as well. This is an aerial view of the IRAP property that we used that was in Greene County. The control group had no aerial spraying, and the treated site did. This is an aerial view of the Pere Marquette State Park transect. In between the IRAP property and the Pere Marquette transect, there were 118 pipes set up because 2 of the pipes were missing at one of the transects. The Beaver Dam State Park, the Lewis and Clark campus, the Ottawa Tommy unit at Pere Marquette, and another IRAP property were used to collect the tree frog data, but this data would not be represented today. The PVC pipe refugia was set up as a passive sampling technique so that the frogs can come and go as they please. Listed here are the materials used to set up the pipe refugia. There's a cap placed on one end of the PVC pipe to collect the rainwater. A nylon rope was inserted into the pipe to reduce mammal mortality. The bungee cord was used to tie the pipe to the tree, and the sharpener was used to write the transect name interval, and the pipe number. The pipes were adjacent to one another, so the northmost pipe was pipe number 1 and the southmost was pipe number 2, and each of the transects were 50 meters apart from 0 to 200. If a tree frog was captured, it was quickly shaken into a previously weighed bag. The bag's mass was subtracted from the total amount to determine how much the frog weighed. The SVL was measured through a bag to minimize human contact. The pictures were taken for Emma's project. We also determined the gender of the frog by looking under their neck. If the neck was darker, it was a male frog, and if it was clean or white, it was a female. And then the frogs were returned back to their pipes. Here is a 6.4 meter squared spot that we use to collect the vegetation data. In the middle, you'll see 2 people. The pink box that's in the middle of the tree is where we lined up the tape of the tree so it will be an equal distance on each person's side. The trees that we chose have pipes on them. That's how we got the 6.4 meters squared. But in the northwest corner, the 1 meter square quadrant was used to collect an estimate of the ground coverage. And in the northeast corner, the canopy cover in the basal area data was collected. And due to limited time, if the plots overlapped, then we only collected 1 sample of data, which resulted in 85 plots being sampled. And we also determined the species of the tree. The crucial was used to measure the basal area in the northeast corner. The densiometer was used to discover the canopy cover. The contour tool was used to measure the furrowness of the bark. The tree frogs could have possibly had a preference to the furrowness of the bark, so we thought that this tool might be effective to collect the furrowness. There won't be any data represented today, but we hope it will be used for future analysis. The compass was not only used to lead us to the next interval, it was also used to measure which direction the pipe was facing. The DBH tape was used to measure the diameter at breast height and from the lip of the pipe to the ground. The results were, in these photos, you can see the honeysuckle skeletons taken at the areas that had been aerosprayed while we were collecting data, so you can see how effective aerospraying was to decrease the honeysuckle presence. In this chart, you'll see a noticeable difference between the honeysuckle coverage from the control group and the treatment site and how effective it was in decreasing the presence. My results were more significant than Jacob's graph like this because my information came from a larger data set. Here's the total captures from each of the 2 sampling periods side by side. And the great tree frog data that you see here, the great tree frogs had SVOs ranging from 27 millimeters to 55 millimeters and masses ranging from 2.3 grams to 14.4 grams, which was heavier than the scale. And from this data was collected during the breeding season. Here's like a breakdown where you can see between the first round of captures and the second round and how big of a difference was in the second. This graph shows the relation of honeysuckle coverage to tree frog presence. We hypothesized that tree frogs would have a higher presence for the tree frogs to choose from. And as you can see that it was reverse correlation. This graph represents the relation of the tree frog DBH to the present. We originally thought that the tree frogs would have a higher presence on larger trees due to the size of the tree being bigger in diameter. It would seem there would be a better opportunity for the frogs. There may be more food sources living in the trees. There may also be more cavities in the trees as a better place to hang out or to live in. Here is the tree frog's mass in relation to the diameter of the tree. It was hypothesized that the bigger the tree frog was, the bigger the tree would be. The reason for this assumption was that there would most likely be more insects located on larger trees, and the larger frog would want to be located on larger trees because of their weight and SEO. In this graph, it's a comparison from the tree frog, the pipe trees percentage and the capture trees percentage. The pipes were, the tree species were randomly selected that the pipes were placed on. And this, from the capture graph, you can see that there was a higher percent of frogs on the white oak trees, but there was also more pipes located on white oak trees, which could be the reasoning. This graph is representing the percent of captures based on direction that the pipes were facing. Due to seeing some frogs sticking out of the PVC pipes facing the sun and others close towards the bottom of the pipe or away from the sun, pipes that are more south usually receive more sun, which could lead to more humidity in the tube. So we figured that determining the direction of the pipe might indicate if the frogs prefer sunlight or shade. For conclusion, aerial spraying has been effective in decreasing honeysuckle presence. Honeysuckle was not significant in tree frog presence, however, there were more frogs that translate with less honeysuckle. Larger frogs were found on larger trees, however, it wasn't significant. The results show DBH is not significant to tree frog presence or mass. Further analysis is needed to make more conclusive statements on the effects of management in Microhabitat for tree frogs, and that is still being analyzed to make further conclusions. For future directions, I would recommend using the same data collector for different tools to measure each plot for better analysis instead of determining if they overlap, if you should just take one sample. So if we had more time, we would have. But compare the data from past years, make more analysis to record data in non-breeding seasons and to collect recapture data. These are my acknowledgements. Questions?